Hi YouTube, I'm Dominique and I'm back with another video. I hope you guys really enjoyed my last video on how I became a travel influencer. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I grew my social media following, so about 300,000 across all of my social media platforms. Now let's get into the video. Okay, like I said, I'm going to break this down into 3 separate parts as to how I grew my social media following. So I would say part 1 is to join Facebook groups. Facebook groups were so helpful for me. What I would do as a travel blogger slash influencer is I would go on Facebook and I would basically join Instagram engagement Facebook groups, Twitter engagement Facebook groups, and within these groups, what we would do is we would basically help each other out on our social media platforms. When you have a lot of engagement on your social media, that helps boost you within the Instagram algorithm, the Twitter algorithm, the TikTok algorithm. It helps boost you within the algorithm. So engagement meaning likes, meaning follows, meaning comments. And one most important thing that I always tell people, if someone comments on your post, even if it's like a small little emoji, respond to everybody. By responding to everybody, that's how, like I said, for example, Instagram, they say, okay, we see people not only commenting on your post, but we see you actually engaging with them or building a relationship with them. But like I said, we will follow each other, we helping each other out through these Facebook groups. But some people, like one of them being myself, we would create little outside groups of our own based on our niche. So this meaning we basically started an engagement group through Instagram direct message. So when we would have a new post, we would be like, hey you guys, I have a new post. Can you do me a favor? Can you like it? Can you comment on it? Whatever. So we would have these little outside groups on Instagram or either through WhatsApp. Instagram was really easier for me when it came to basically helping boosting the engagement on my Instagram, because I was already on Instagram. All I had to do is, look at my notifications and my direct messages, and I would see that, okay, such and such has a new post. So let me go ahead and comment. Let me go ahead and like it, or let me go ahead and share, follow them, or whatever. So I'm going to give you guys some gems as to what Facebook groups that I was in. I'm going to list them also, but I'm also going to name them. So I'm going to give you guys the groups one by one, and this is just for Instagram. But like I said, there are tons and tons of groups for different social media platforms like Twitter, like Facebook, like TikTok, like Instagram. But I'm going to list the ones that I joined for Instagram. So when you go to Facebook and you go to the little search bar, you type in Instagram engagement boost. And there's usually a bunch of different tabs that you can click on. They say posts, they say people, and then you will see a term that says groups. What you want to do is click on groups, and that will give you a list of basically all the groups with that same name or that same tag. But if you type in the words correctly, or like the ones I'm going to put on the screen, it'll take you to that exact group. And what you can do is join. What people usually do is once they join, they'll say, hey, I'm a beauty blogger or beauty influencer. I would love to connect with you guys and engage with you guys on my Instagram. Can you drop your Instagram links in the comments below, and I'll follow you guys and you guys can follow me back. But that's one group that I'm going to list right here. Another group is IG engagement space. I'm also going to link this one right here. This is another group that I was in to help boost my Instagram engagement, as well as to boost my Instagram following. So that's another one that you can join. Another one was Instagram daily engagement group. That was also another great one that you can join. And lastly, there was Instagram engagement boost official. So like I said, all of these groups you can join in order to help boost your Instagram engagement alone, if that's what you want to do. But there's also tons of other groups that you can join to help boost your social media engagement across all of your other social media platforms. Okay, and another way that I help boost my Instagram engagement as well as my Instagram following across all of my social media platforms is I connected with other influencers in my area. So how I'm based in Miami, what I would do is when I would go on Instagram, I would type in hashtag Miami influencers. This is a great way to not only connect with other influencers that live in the same city as you, but this is also another great way to help, boost your social media engagement in general. Like I said, what I would do is I would type in the hashtags on Instagram. I love using Instagram before I discovered TikTok. I still use Instagram, but you know, I use it sporadically, like every once in a while. But what I would do is I would type in the hashtag Miami influencers, and what I would do is, you know, I would go to their posts, I would go to their pages, and basically I would interact with them. And 9 times out of 10, if you do this to like a couple of different influencers in your area, they're gonna go ahead and do the same for you. So like I said, once I would type in the Miami influencers hashtag, I would find a couple of pages that had some quality content that lived in Miami, like I said, and I would engage on their social media posts. So I would like it, I would comment on it, and I would comment and like a couple of their posts. And once they see, like, who is this random person commenting, liking all of my stuff or most of my stuff, let me go check out their page. And 9 times out of 10, they would honestly return the favor and do the same for you. So like I said, that's another way to help boost your Instagram engagement as well as your Instagram following, because that also helped me gain followers as well. Not only doing just that, but also connecting with other influencers that are not only in your same city, but those that are also in your same niche. And niche basically meaning like your topic of interest. Like me, for example, my niche is travel blogger, or my niche is travel in general. So say for example, your niche is beauty or your niche is food. What I would do personally, just giving an example for myself, what I would do is I love connecting with other Black travel influencers. That's just like a personal favorite for me. So what I would do is there are tons of Black travel groups in general across all social media platforms. But just giving another example for Instagram, I would go to pages like Black Travel Movement. That's one that I went to. I would go to pages like Black Travel Feed. That's another one that I went to. And another one called Black Travel Journey. So when I would go to these pages, of course you're going to see other Black travelers or Black influencers, Black bloggers that are on these social media pages. And what I would do is, you know, within these pages, the owners of these pages, they would post other Black travelers posts, and of course they would tag them. So what I would do is, if they didn't have like a large following, I would do the same thing that I did with the connecting with the influencers that were in my area. I would engage on their posts as well. Not only those that the page is featured, that the Black travel page is featured, but those that are in the comments or those that like the post. 9 times out of 10, if a person is going to this particular page, they're either Black or they like travel. So why not connect with somebody that's basically just like you? I'm Black, I like travel. So let's help boost each other's social media posts. Let's help increase each other's engagement. That's another way that I would basically build my following on my social media platforms or just for Instagram. And for my third step, which is my last and final step, after this I'm going to go ahead and get into some questions that you guys asked me in the comments in my previous video. But as for my third step and my last and final step, is to create quality content. And what I mean by creating quality content is providing free information or value to your audience. And what I mean by this is, what do you see in your niche that might be missing? For example, when I first started, like I said, I would review different restaurants here in Miami, and I saw that there were a couple of, you know, food bloggers here in Miami or food influencers here in Miami. But that's it, that's all that they would do. So what I started to do was, I not only went to restaurants here in Miami, but I started reviewing different hotels here in Miami, or like I said, different attractions here in Miami. So I didn't just stick to basically one set topic. I ended up venturing out and, well, not necessarily venturing out, but in a way I kind of ventured out and not only did just food, I did other things other than food. Like I provided information on where to stay when you come to Miami, like I said, when I reviewed the different hotels. And I also provided information on things to do when you're here in Miami. Like I said, I didn't just stick to the food content. I provided information on things other than food when it came to you wanted to visit Miami or if you lived in Miami. I feel like that's the value that I provided to my audience, or that's like the free information that I provided to my audience. Because when I would create certain posts, people would be like, well, how did you find this spot? Like, I didn't know that that was here in Miami. A lot of the restaurants here in Miami, a lot of other bloggers or influencers actually went there, so they were actually like covering those certain spaces. So after a while it became like kind of repetitive, because it's like every Miami influencers going here or basically going to the same places. But I feel like how I grew as an influencer, a travel influencer or an influencer in general, is when I started providing information outside of just restaurants, just sticking to restaurants here in Miami. I added other places that people can visit while they're here, and I feel like that's honestly another way that I help grow my social media following. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer a few questions. I'm sorry if you guys can hear them cutting my grass outside. It's super loud, so I hope it's not overpowering the video. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer a few of the questions that were in the comments in my previous video. And the first question was, how do you edit and all that good stuff? I need help, sis. And by the way, you're beautiful. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. But how do I edit? So when it comes to editing on YouTube, for example, I have a MacBook Pro. So with a MacBook, it comes with iMovie. And of course, at first, I didn't know how to edit. I feel like I still really don't know how to edit. I'm still learning as I go on. I started out with iMovie. What I did was I basically looked up different YouTube videos as to how to edit on iMovie. I do want to upgrade. I do want to get the software Final Cut Pro. That's what I heard a lot of people use. But I just, I used iMovie. I looked up different things that I wanted to do. Like I would look up other YouTubers videos and would say, man, like how do you do this and how do you do that? When I tell you Google or YouTube search, they're like your best friends, especially YouTube search. Like you could basically find anything when it comes to like how-to videos on YouTube. When it comes to editing on my social media platforms, like TikTok, for example, I'm not sure which platform you were talking about, but when it comes to editing on my TikTok platform, I'm gonna be honest, at first I did not want TikTok because when COVID first hit, like everybody else, people thought that, oh, TikTok is just like an app for the kids where they can dance and do this and do that. They're kind of like Thriller. So that was another app where people, they made up dances to different songs, or they did dances to different songs. So I did not want to start TikTok at first. You guys got me drinking my tea. I feel like my voice is going out. I did not want to start TikTok at first until my brother was like, oh, you need to make a TikTok. You need to make a TikTok. The stuff that you do and that you post on Instagram, you need to post this stuff on TikTok. So it was actually my brother that convinced me to start a TikTok. But actually how I learned is, of course, the younger generation, they use TikTok. They know how to maneuver it. Just like when we were younger and we had like MySpace, and then we started getting Facebook and all of these other social media platforms. We knew how to maneuver these social media platforms. So of course our parents or older people in general would ask us, how do you work this social media platform? How do you do this? How do you do that? So why not ask the kids that know these social media platforms the most, like that know how to maneuver it the most? So what I would do is I have a 12-year-old niece, and my god sister, I think she's 15 now. My god sister, she's 15. So when I would watch other TikTok videos and I would see like the different editing styles that they would do, I would ask my younger niece or I would ask my younger god sister, and they would basically show me how to do this and how to do that on TikTok. So that's basically how I learned how to edit my stuff on TikTok. Okay, question number 2. This question says, amazing advice. So how do you go about finding these places like hotels and restaurants to reach out to? Also, if you don't have a huge social media following, how do you go about asking these places to sponsor you in exchange for content? Okay, I'm gonna answer her first question first, which is how do I find these different restaurants or hotels to review? So there are tons of different ways that I find these places, okay? I'm gonna start with number 1. And number 1 is, what I do is I would Google, when I tell you guys Google is your best friend, I would Google hospitality, and hospitality, hotels, restaurants, all of that good stuff fall under that category. So I would Google hospitality public relations firms in Miami. So when I would Google search that would show me all of the hospitality PR firms that were based in Miami, and 9 times out of 10, well no, not even 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, these PR firms represent these hotels or these restaurants, meaning they're the spokesperson for these hotels and these restaurants. So what I would do is I would go to each, website that I found that was a PR firm, that was a hospitality PR firm. And when you go on their website, they will always ask you, or even like if you scroll all the way to the bottom, or if you scroll to their menu tab, they will ask you if you want to sign up for their newsletter. And the newsletter meaning they will basically send you different press releases about companies that they represent through your email. So I will always get press releases sent to my email saying, oh, we have a new restaurant coming. For example, there's a new restaurant coming to Miami that I absolutely would love to review, and I'm signed up to the PR firm's newsletter. They just sent it to me. There's a new restaurant coming to Miami, which is based in London. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's called Sexy Fish, so you guys should check it out. But it's coming to Miami. I just got the press release. So like I said, these PR companies, I would get their newsletters, like get daily emails of, oh, we have this new restaurant coming. It's being built on Miami Beach. Or we have this new hotel coming. It's being built in Brickell. And most of the times too, I would reach out to somebody that works for that PR firm. And the contact people's information is usually on their website. And if it's not on the website, to contact a person directly, they have a contact page in general to where you can contact the PR firm as a whole. So you're gonna get in contact with somebody if you reach out, if you extend that hand and reach out to that company. So when I would reach out to these companies as well, I'll let them know like, hey, I'm a Miami blogger or I'm a Miami influencer. I cover different things to do in Miami. I would love to cover this restaurant that you represent or this hotel that you represent. That's another way that you build relationships with these PR firms to where if there's a new restaurant or a new hotel coming to your city, then they'll be like, hey, I know Dominique. She came to the grand opening of this restaurant, and when I met her, she was so nice, she was so cool. Let me send her an invite to come to this grand opening for this space. And a lot of the times too, I get invited to different spaces before they actually even open to the public. So what they would do is they would have these little events called press nights, where they would invite all of the press people on their newsletters to come out a week before or the day before or a couple days before the new restaurant or the new hotel actually open. That's one way that I find these different restaurants or hotels that's coming to my city. Another way that I find different restaurants or hotels is other Miami influencers. 10 times out of 10, another Miami influencer is gonna post a place that I've never been to, that I've never heard of. So I follow or I check up on a lot of other Miami influencers because they post a lot of places, like I said, that I've never heard of, or that I've never been to. Another way that I find these places there are tons of hospitality websites. Like there's a website called hospitality.net or hospitality.com. You can search that website and type in, for example, for me, I type in Miami, and it'll show me all of the different restaurants and hotels and attractions or businesses in general that are here in Miami. And when you click on those press releases that are basically on that list, if you go all the way down to the bottom, not technically all the way down, but like to the end of the press release, there's usually a contact email for a person that you can get in contact with. And that's another way that I find restaurants or find hotels or find new attractions. And that's also another way that I contact these places. And for your second question, if you don't have a huge following, how do you go about getting these places to sponsor you? So when I first started out, like I said, I had my blog. I had been a blogger already, but this was for like another niche. This was when I was covering music and entertainment. I would do like a little bit of, restaurants here and there in Miami, and I didn't have a large following. I didn't have a large following like I have on TikTok, and I didn't have a somewhat large following like I have on Instagram now. But what I would do is, like I always tell people, build that relationship with your followers, no matter if it's 100 followers or 200 followers or 50 followers. Build that close-knit relationship with your followers. This meaning you engage and interact on their posts, or they engage and interact on your posts. When companies come to your website and they see, oh, like she has a lot of engagement, like, oh, she has 20 something comments or 30 something comments, but she only has like 500 followers, or she only has like 200 followers, 250 followers. Believe it or not, a lot of companies love to see that. They love to see when people have a close-knit relationship with their followers, because that makes them feel like, okay, even though they have a small community, this small community, they trust them more. Like this small community, like they trust them more. They trust this person more compared to accounts that have like 100,000 followers and people are commenting and asking questions, and it's like, You're not responding, you're not answering, you're not interacting, you're not engaging. So having a close-knit relationship with your followers, I feel like is more important than having those 100,000 followers or having like a million followers. And two, there's a term that they use for this freaking lawnmower. And two, there's a term that they use in the influencer community called nano influencers. And nano influencers, those are basically influencers that have 10,000. This lawnmower is so freaking loud. Sorry, guys. But with nano influencers are influencers that have 10,000 or less followers. A lot of companies like to work with these type of influencers because they feel like they have a closer relationship with their followers and their followers deem them as more trustworthy. There's also another term called, I think it's called micro influencers, and that is if you have, if I'm not mistaken, 100,000 or more followers. But like I always say, there are tons and tons of people that I've seen with 250 followers, 300 followers, 150 followers, 100 followers that went on press trips. Now what they would do to actually back this up is what I feel like they would do, or how they would get chosen for press trips, like an all expenses paid travel trip. They would have a blog. And I feel like too, blogs are so important because it's your own, it's your own platform. So say for example, if Instagram wanted to get shut down, TikTok, Twitter, if those platforms were to get shut down, where's all of your content gonna go? I still have my blog. I don't post on it as often. I'm gonna start posting back on my blog, but you have to think about that too. Like say for example, these social media platforms were to get shut down, where's all your content gonna go? Your content is gonna be gone. So you have to have like your own personal platform just as a backup plan, I feel like. But yeah, like I said, there were tons of travel influencers or travel bloggers that had 100 followers, 150 followers, weren't even close to the thousands, and they would go on these all expenses paid trips across the world, and they would share their experience on their blog. This meaning no video, no sort of visual content other than pictures, and just writing a general article. Another question that I received is, how many followers do you think one should have? I know you said you had a close-knit community, but I have under 2,000. So my honest answer would be, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. If you have under 2,000, like I said, I've seen people with 100 followers or 150 followers or even like a couple hundred followers. They would still do paid promotions. They would still do paid advertisements. They would still review restaurants. They would still do things for free, like review hotels. So I will honestly say that really doesn't matter. I feel like what matters is creating that quality content, and like I always tell people, building that relationship with your followers. Some advice that I would give you is, if you have time every single day, I would try every single day to, like I said, when I would first start boosting my social media following, engage with those that are in your city on social media across all of your social media platforms. When I first started, I was just doing it on Instagram because that was my favorite social media platform to use. But engage with those that live in your city by searching hashtags, Miami influencers, or wherever you're based. Engage with those that live in your city. That's one way if you want to build your social media following, or just engage with your followers that you have already as a whole, just so you don't somewhat be more so focused on the amount of followers that you have. And that's what people always think. They think you have to have 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers, or a million followers to even start getting paid, but you honestly don't. Or even to start doing things for free, you honestly do not. If you have a nice amount of engagement on your social media platform, a company will give you a chance. That's how I first started. I didn't have 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers, 30,000 followers like I do now on my Instagram. I think when I first started, I had like a couple thousand. I think I had like 1,500 followers, or even before that, like when I started reviewing my first restaurant, I didn't even post like videos. I would post like pictures, and that'll be it. And it wasn't even pictures like of me. It wasn't until I started getting comfortable with posting pictures of me, but I would just post pictures of like the food, and that's basically it. And I had a couple hundred followers. But what I can honestly say is what helped me is interacting with my followers, or interacting with the followers that I already had that were already following my page. There are tons of people that are out there that have a couple thousand followers that receive bigger sponsorships than I've had, or bigger product promotions or brand promotions than I've had. Like, I've seen smaller influencers work with Amazon. Amazon is a huge company. So like I said, like, smaller influencers, just because you have a large amount of followers, that technically doesn't mean like that a lot of people are going to work with you. So my best advice to give you would be, like I said, start with that community that you have now and start engaging and interacting more with that community. Okay, those are the questions that I had in my previous video. I've answered them to the best of my ability, and if you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them in my next video that I'm going to create. In my next video, I'm not sure what topic I'm going to cover as of yet, but I'm thinking about covering the topic on how I pitch myself to different brands. So if you have some topic ideas that you also want me to discuss in some videos, leave those in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.